They say every neighborhood has that one person who takes the HOA way too seriously. Ours? We had Harvey Briggs. This man strutted around like he was sheriff, clipboard under his arm, phone always ready to snap photos. He wasn't elected. He wasn't appointed. He just decided he was the HOA patrol. And last week, he crossed a line my grandpa wasn't about to let slide. It started at 5:30 in the morning with the squeak of our backyard fence. I was half awake, pouring cereal, when Grandpa, sitting in his rocker on the porch, muttered, "There he goes again." Sure enough, Harvey was scaling our fence like a burglar, phone in hand, snapping pictures of Grandpa's tomato plants. Tomatoes. He claimed they violated community aesthetics. Can you imagine? A 76-year-old veteran growing vegetables was somehow a crime. I wanted to storm out there, but Grandpa raised a hand. Patience. Let a fool run long enough and he'll write his own ending. That was Grandpa. Measured, calm, the opposite of Harvey's manic energy. This wasn't Harvey's first stunt. Twice we'd caught him nosing around the shed. Once he even rattled the door like he expected contraband. Grandpa reported him to the HOA, but the president, Marla Green, just brushed it off. Oh, Harvey's just enthusiastic. He cares about the neighborhood. Enthusiastic? The man was breaking trespassing law, but the HOA hid behind technicalities, so Grandpa built a plan. For 3 days he tinkered in the garage, humming old country tunes while I fetched tools. On the 4th day, our wrought iron gate had a new feature. A low-voltage electric current, perfectly legal, posted with a bright yellow sign. Warning, electrified gate. Trespassers will be shocked. Right on schedule, Harvey came prowling again before dawn. Grandpa sipped his coffee while I crouched by the window, heart pounding. Harvey muttered about violations as he grabbed the gate. Snap! A jolt ripped through him. He yelped like a startled dog, stumbled back and scrambled toward the street. Grandpa didn't even blink. He leaned back in his chair and said softly, "That's the sound of justice." The whole street buzzed. Harvey Briggs, limping down Sycamore Lane, had turned into the day's entertainment. Neighbors whispered, chuckling. Everyone had seen his antics, measuring grass, peeking through windows, photographing kids' bikes. The man was a menace. And now, finally, he'd been put in his place. But Harvey wasn't done. By noon, Marla called an emergency HOA meeting. We walked in to find Harvey, arm in a sling for dramatic effect, pointing at Grandpa like he'd uncovered a crime scene. "This man rigged an electrified weapon. That gate nearly killed me." Grandpa slid a folded paper onto the table. "That's a state permit, fully legal, warning signs posted. You can't trespass and then cry victim." The room shifted. Neighbors started nodding. One woman said, "Harvey came into my yard to measure my shrubs." Another added, "He photographed my porch swing and called it clutter." The tide turned, and Harvey's face grew redder by the minute. Grandpa's voice cut through the noise. "You've let him run wild. Now he's learned what happens when you step on the wrong porch." The HOA meeting ended with Harvey humiliated, but not defeated. 2 nights straight, his dented pickup circled our block. On the 3rd night, just past midnight, I heard rustling near the gate. There he was, flashlight in one hand, bolt cutters in the other. Grandpa was already waiting, remote in hand. "Watch this, kid." The second Harvey clamped the cutters. Zap. Dee-dee. Wires hummed, and he jolted like he'd grabbed a hornet's nest. Mud splattered as he stumbled. Grandpa sipped his coffee, steady as ever. Then he lifted his phone, recording every second in full HD. Panicked, Harvey dialed 911. "Attempted murder. He's trying to kill me." 5 minutes later, red and blue lights filled the yard. "Sir," one officer asked, "is there an active device on that gate?" "Yes," Grandpa replied. "Permitted, posted, and recorded. Here's the paperwork, and here's the video of Mr. Briggs trespassing with bolt cutters." The officers exchanged a look. Then one turned to Harvey. "So, you broke in with tools. At midnight, to enforce HOA rules, game over, trespassing, vandalism, attempted theft, false police report. They cuffed him right there. Neighbors gathered, clapping as Harvey sputtered about conspiracies. His self-appointed HOA badge confiscated on the spot. Grandpa leaned back in his chair, coffee steaming in his hands. Sometimes justice just needs a little electricity. And Harvey Briggs, once the terror of Sycamore Lane, rode off. In the back of a police cruiser, his reputation fried worse than the gate.